Uh, I would like to make a quick video as possible on this subject, like I made the other day, just previously, which this topic is part two of why black people leaving their communities behind. I got to say this. First of all, as my brother Taalik would say, this grinds my gears. And this is somewhat of a rant video, but then again, it's not a rant video. It's because it really angers me to know that here it is, you get people committing rapid and random crimes in black communities where people just stand by, especially those who claim to be law-abiding citizens or members of the community that just don't do a damn thing about it, either because it's out of fear or because they don't give a damn, or it ain't them, or it ain't their family, and all this other crap going on with us as a people in the so-called black community throughout America. Well, online I had ran across this story today that I just previously read about not too long ago, where they arrested a young dark-skinned male who goes by the name of Robert McLendon in Detroit, who was charged with shooting up a neighborhood for several months. I mean, literally just went around shooting up houses randomly, just endangering the lives and safety of people, even to the point where he shot up a 85-year-old woman's house several times before he finally got caught months later. And then also he shot up another house, which they testified about in court against him, where the lady described where she had to cover over her grandchildren to protect her grandchild from being harmed as a result of bullets flying through her window, shattering through her window, and it's like, it just pisses me off to know that, in fact, all this was going on. And mind you, this particular neighborhood here in Detroit, where this took place at, I'm very well familiar with it. It was around the area of Wildermere, of a street called Wildermere, which I also have a history of being around, or rather on, because of that once being my stomping grounds as a younger man, when I was caught up in my dark days at different darker points in my life, And in that particular neighborhood, it's always been known for, high crime, murder, drugs, and so on and forth. But it's gotten to the point, because I remember growing up, even in Detroit, where the neighbors looked out for each other, which has changed, of course, like in most black neighborhoods and communities throughout the United States, let alone just in Detroit, Michigan. But I when I saw this on the news, on the local website they have back in Detroit, like I say, they arrested the guy finally, and I mean, he even had a list when they say when the police went and raided his house after they arrested him, they found the shotgun, but also they found the list of people that he was planning on killing and all this other stuff. So this obviously was some premeditated act, and like even the judge involved in the case, which got him bound over to another local circuit court there, which he's going to be put on trial for as far as what he did. Said that it's, luckily, basically, no wonder that didn't anyone get hurt or, in fact, killed. And yeah, I could concur with that because didn't nobody from the community, while knowing all this obviously was going on, didn't nobody come and do nothing about this situation. Like I say, in the area where these crimes was taking place at, around the street of Wildermere, in that area, like Lawton and which is in that immediate area of that neighborhood. And like I say, it obviously, I've been gone from Detroit for quite a few years, and obviously, like I say, with the case of us as a people, as time goes on, year after year, even month after month, day after day, second after second, week after week, or whatever, our people just get more degenerate. They're just becoming more degenerate in their behaviors toward each other, savagely wise. Because to sit there and allow this to go on, especially when you're talking about this involving the lives of elderly people being at stake and children's lives being at stake, as well as other people's lives being at stake, with this random shooting going on in a single neighborhood area, and no one is willing to band together to do anything about this, since they, unquote, supposed to be proud of the black community they come from and want to, make mockery and hate on those blacks who choose to leave their own black communities because of such situations like that taking place in the community, which people do not have the courage to stand up to even before the law gets involved. And it's just a daggone shame that this has to be a constant reminder of why black people, in fact, are leaving black communities. Why dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America used to move to the suburbs to be around Caucasian people, whether they're racist or whatever, or even to move in other neighborhoods where other different nationalities live at and overpopulate. It's because of this thing where blacks don't even have control of their own community. They can't even protect their own elderly. Every other nationality in this country, ethnic group in this country, at least have the integrity about themselves, including white Caucasians, when it comes to protecting their elderly. And it's a damn shame that we don't have that much integrity about ourselves to care enough to do that. So why get mad and angry about other black people who choose to pack up and leave? Rather to separate or isolate themselves from among other black people. I mean, hey, we living like savages. You can't find one place in this country, let alone Detroit, Chicago, Birmingham, Alabama, Atlanta, Georgia, Baltimore, Maryland, certain parts of New York City, black neighborhoods like I've seen in Buffalo, New York, and Toledo, Ohio, in places like Louisville, Kentucky, even in Lexington, Kentucky, where I once lived, you know, prior to where I'm at now, living, I've never seen no group, a large segment group of black people, even in smaller towns like Lexington, Kentucky, or Pine Bluff, Arkansas, where I've also lived, where black people have a community to themselves, but can't protect one another, stand by one another when it comes to each other. But yet you screaming about the white man, the police killing us, shooting us, gunning us down, racial profiling us, gerrymandering us, all this other good stuff. Well, how about this? It's no worse than another dark-skinned person going around committing randomless act crimes against those who look like them. Okay, it's no difference. Matter of fact, it's more worse because they look like you and me, okay? But yet you want to sit back and not do nothing about it and simply say, well, let's wait on the law. Okay, well, but you the same people who complain about the law. Half of you, especially in the conscious community, on that blackity black fakery stuff, complain about the police doing injustices to us, but we'll be the first ones to openly expect them to come through and rescue us while we terrorizing each other. You know, and stuff like that. So, I mean, my thing is this, is that, you know, stop calling the kettle pot black. Simple as that. Stop calling the kettle black. Because you ain't gonna do nothing about those who look like you terrorizing your community. And it seemed like before we could even deal with outsiders who economically capitalize off our suffering as a people, like the Koreans and Arabs and so forth on, we got to start internally dealing with each other. We have to start internally dealing with each other to make sure that we are safe from our own selves. And that's a damn shame. It's a shame that I can't even walk out my apartment and walk up the street and walk past another black person who look like me and have to worry about, is they gonna stick me up, or is they gonna rob me, or is they gonna try to harm those that I love, that I'm biologically connected with? You see what I'm saying? And so forth. So, this is the type of stuff that black people go through in areas like metropolitan Detroit, metropolitan Atlanta, metropolitan St. Louis, metropolitan Chicago. Once again, as I mentioned, different cities and places around the country where this common problem among black people exists at in the United States. You know, and it's like we supposed to just sit back and accept this because it's one of our own that's doing it. Oh, well, you know, he's oppressed too. So what? He or she has been, you know, through 400 years of oppression like us all. Let's lay off of them. Let's look at the root of the problem, which is the Caucasian. Well, hold on. Listen. Once again, we got to deal with ourselves first before we could change what's outside of us. Which starts with the individual, okay? And then which starts with those that are immediately around us as other darker skinned people that look like us. In order before we can even talk about attacking the original main root of the problem. And that's just the reality of it. And this is what Operation Exodus Mississippi, a platform I belong to, is all about. As far as getting a state like Mississippi and taking over control of its politics so we could carve out a new safe haven for ourselves from all this type of stuff. Like with this particular example of this case with this brother going around shooting up the neighborhood and all that crap. You know, if we really want to change our conditions, then we got to, you know, tell the truth like it is first and accept reality for what it is and then move from there. You know, and once we can finally emancipate ourselves from the fictitious mentality of old pole me, or I'm black, or this is why I'm suffering, or this is why I'm doing this and killing and robbing my own people and tearing my own people apart. Well, it's down. Hell, since you always pointing the finger at the Caucasian, well then that's the one you need to be doing it to, not your own people. How about that? And I'm not saying this to promote violence, but I'm just using this as a narrative to say that, look, let's look at ourselves first. You know what I'm saying? Before we go looking outside of us as far as dealing with the root cause that started our problem in the first place. And number one is taking over a state by controlling its politics. By not taking over a state, but taking the state. It's different than taking the state and taking over a state. Let me just get that clear. But taking control of its politics, no more, no less. All we want to do is get to Mississippi and take control of its politics, not take over the state, because Mississippi is still a part of the United States and up under the federal government, and we don't need no issues of being accused of trying to overthrow a state, you know, in that term meaning. Okay, so let's get that clearly straight. But all we need to do is take control of the politics of the state so we could carve out a reality and make a safe haven as well as a sanctuary for ourselves from the rest of this crap that we see going on throughout the rest of America. That's the point I'm making. So don't misquote or put words in my mouth or what I'm saying. I'm saying simply, I'm not talking about taking over no state. I'm talking about taking control of the politics of a state, which happens to be Mississippi. And then once we're successful with that, and along with the opportunities within our reach that comes along with that, then we could move along and take control of the politics of the state of Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, and other populated states where it's more darker skinned descendants of slaves born in America. You know, but like I said, once again, this is why we keep constantly pushing this ideal and working toward it getting off the ground so that in fact it will be an on and going reality. You know, so once again, I had to make this video, you know, because you know, a lot of people just seem to want to just sit back on their ass, on their happy ass, and don't do nothing but talk about each other on social media all day, make a bunch of frivolous, scrandalous videos that ain't doing nothing to change the present volatile condition of our people in this country as black people being concerned in America, or who I prefer to call dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America. But like I said, yes, I mean, you wonder why blacks move to different places away from metropolitan areas. There are even blacks who live in states like Vermont, New Hampshire, Wyoming, Montana. Why? Because they want to carve out a better life for themselves and their personal families. Because they can't do it where they come from. Unfortunately, which is a fact. But can you blame them? I sure ain't gonna blame them. Like I said, and like I said before previously in videos prior to this one, that unless we get this Operation Exodus Mississippi ideal off the ground, so it could be ongoing and in full-blown operation to carving out a new reality for us as a people and our future generations to come behind us, then I may, resume on, in fact, making that move in the near future. Because we don't have too much time left anyway as a people. We may not have that much time at all left. Especially with the way things is going with this country. Anything is subject to happen in America that'll change the entire course of life existence, period, in America. And you know who's going to be the first to be put on the chopping block? Like always, dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America. This is why I always remind y'all that these FEMA camps and mass graves is waiting on us. And we gonna be the first ones that's gonna be hauled off to these places to be done away with for once and for all completely. Because I mean, or what you saying, they can't kill us all. Or they can't do this or do that to us. Because it's 44 plus some million of us in America. But let me tell you this. First of all, if you understand the history of the white man in this country, especially here in America, they're known for wiping out populations, just along with dropping bombs. Look what happened when they bombed Japan in the 40s. Look what happened when they bombed Iraq just recently, a decade ago, or over a decade ago. Just look when they bombed Afghanistan, the way they did. Just look at other military missions they've taken in countries like Yemen, Syria, and helping to wipe out millions or numbers of populations of people. So don't sit up and tell me what this Caucasian in power is not capable of doing. Okay? And trust me, we're not no more significant far as us being they ex-slaves as so-called Negroes in America when it comes to these different other people who they went around the world and bombed up complete villages, destroyed complete villages and nations throughout the world. since the inception of this United States. Okay, go down there in Latin America, South America, Central America. Then you wonder why them people running over here. Well, the United States played a big part in that, of why they coming over here. Okay? So, like I said before, don't sit up there and tell me that these people ain't capable of destroying us. Tens of millions, or however many millions of so-called Indian Native Americans were destroyed. Okay, how many ever numbers it was of them in this country when the Europeans landed on these shores as colonists? It was pretty much more of them than what it is now, with only 2 million something of them still existing. Okay, especially around here in the Midwest Plains. So don't sit up and tell me what this Caucasian is not capable of doing. They're capable of just as many as Native American Indians that they destroy over time. We ain't no different, nor any exception from that rule when they want to wipe out a people. They've tried different processes in doing it, of course, with the drug epidemic, like with heroin and crack cocaine, racial mass incarceration. But trust me, they got another way to ultimately get rid of us altogether. And like I say, them FEMA concentration camps and the mass graves is one way of getting rid of all of us together. And once they start dumping us off into the mass graves and those cheap caskets that they already got set up for us, that's already been put up throughout media or social media, rather to say, that's being exposed throughout social media. I mean, people have actually said literally that they've rode up and down highways seeing trains with these plastic caskets loaded up on them, being transported, okay? So this is not no game. This is actually real. This is actually real. And these sources that's reported on this is very reliable, by the way. I'm not going to give you no crap from some source that's not reliable. And from what I've done in my own research has shown this to be a proven fact. So that's what they got waiting for us, especially when things do get, unquote, out of hand, or as the Nation of Islam always talking about with the fall of America. Well, America do fall whenever it falls or whatever, because so far as we've seen, it ain't failed yet, even after over 100 years, when according to the teachings of the Nation of Islam, it was supposed to fail in 1914. Well, it's still here. America is still here. And it's going to still be here until whenever it do fall. And not by chance because of some prophecy or divine intervention either. Or that God is going to destroy America. See, nature, the law of physics with nature dictates that what goes up comes down. We've seen that throughout the history of other nations and empires, way long before the inception of America was even thought of. Okay, so like I said before, this won't be the first civilization to be destroyed, and it won't be the last, especially with us as so-called Negro Americans or dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America. So once again, we're not no exception to this rule. Okay, and I just want to make that clear. This is real, live in effect, with the ongoing plan that these Caucasians and racists got set up for us. They've already got it in place for us. Why you think they already got these executive orders called in the event that martial law got to be carried out and all that? They got things like this in place for a reason. Okay, this just ain't something that's coming up out of osmosis. And the way things is looking, and the way the future is looking bleak for us as a dark-skinned descendant of slaves born in America, we ain't too far from that point of our existence being terminated altogether. Okay, so you could keep thinking that that's some crazy old talk or some kind of crazy conspiracy theory that somebody just snatched up out the sky and just thought up just to bring up. Nah, this is real. This is definitely real. And like I said before, with all this foolishness, what we doing to ourselves and each other and our communities, while we killing each other, running around doing these crazy rampant shootings, like this brother that just got locked up behind it. They steadily planning our demise because we so busy running around here shooting up each other, not protecting ourselves, not protecting each other, our families, the children, the elders, as a community, And if we did that, if we really did a good job at that, maybe we wouldn't even need to involve the law in a lot of our affairs. And I ain't talking about because we ain't snitching or we ain't telling. The hell with that. It's necessary for justice as well. Because at the end of the day, some of us do need to be locked up. Okay? Let's not get that twisted. I know what it is to be incarcerated, okay? I've been there, done that, okay? But the truth of the matter is, some of us need to be incarcerated. Especially like with that situation there that I just spoke about that just happened in Detroit, Michigan. Some of us need to be incarcerated, need to have the key thrown away. It's just that simple of a fact. And you talking about one that has been around criminals, murderers, killers, thugs, that could really explain why some of us do need to be separated from the rest of the community, unfortunately. But that's the reality of it. Some of these people just ain't gonna never change their ways. I mean, that's just the reality of it. We could pray about it. We could moan about it, cry about it. Oh, I lost my little teddy bear or whatever. But the reality is that, like one particular sister said in the comment section yesterday of a video me and brother Taalik was doing, that we got to be our own saviors. Because ain't nothing coming from the sky to save us. Ain't no mother plane ship coming to save us from the skies, Ain't nobody from within no mothership plane is coming to save us. That's supposed to be, unquote, alive. And the reality of the situation is that we got to save ourselves. It's just that simple. Just like Noble Drew Ali, who founded the Moorish Science Temple of America back in the 1920s, said that he came to teach dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America how to save themselves. So yes, we got to save ourselves. Ain't nobody else gonna save us. It's just that simple. Ain't nobody gonna save us. Ain't nobody gonna save us at all. We done tried all these different methods, even in that area, when it comes to religion, spirituality, and so-called divineness and all that. And none of this has worked. Pro-black black conscious scholarship and all this, ain't none of this work at all to change our condition. Not even halfway worked to even change our conditions. Not even halfway. And this is why we started our campaign platform as Operation Exodus Mississippi because of this. Because of the inconsistencies and incompetence of these other entities that failed our people for so long in this country that I just got through mentioning. So, like I said, we're going to just have to save ourselves. And that's just the bottom line to that. And until we understand and realize that, we just going to be the Walking Dead, or as they say, the Walking Dead time bomb, like we are now, unfortunately. I mean, and of course, as we see in the political arena of this country, that ones that are in that entity do not give a damn about our best interests as a people, whether it's Republican, Democrat, whether Trump is the president or not, or the next president coming in. And just like the last president that came in before him, and so forth and on, ain't put forth no effort intendedly to do anything for us, to help us change our condition for once and for all, from this 400 year of slave oppression that we've suffered as a people in this country. So instead of us, with knowing this, constantly blaming that and using that as a crutch excuse by not saving ourselves, we're going to continue on going through the hell that we're going through. Because like I said, all we want to do is make a bunch of videos on social media and talk about each other, especially over stuff that don't mean nothing. Claim this pro-blackity black crap, but want to go date or marry other white folks and all this crap. And then you get those in the conscious community who scream they don't want to be around interracial relationships or intermixing, swirling relationships or live around homosexuals. Well, hell, you living around all that. So what's any difference is it going to be even while we're carving out a reality for ourselves in Mississippi? What difference is it going to be? We already all throughout America living around them. We can't do nothing about that. We're in America. We can't change that reality in a nation like this. Only thing we could do is make sure that our present as well as future is ensured and protected as a people in this country, like every other nationality in this country is doing. That's all we need to do, is do the same thing and go from there. It's the bottom line. No more, no less. All these religious teachings, all these spirituality teachings that ain't getting us nowhere, but it's being used as a catalyst to capitalize off our people suffering financially and economically. That's all it's about. So, like I said, you know, we're going to have to save ourselves. And that's just the bottom line to that. Especially if we don't want to see our people moving out of the black community, even with the resources that they may have that could help the black community. You know, I mean, if I had $40 million or $100 million, like Shaq, Oprah Winfrey, Michael Jordan, you know, I probably wouldn't want to move back to the black community neither. Knowing the savagery behavior our people display, especially toward each other when they ain't got nothing. How about that? So with that said, y'all got any comments, jot them down in the comment section. And for those of you that's on YouTube and in the comment section, and in the rest of social media land listening to this video, shout outs also to y'all, and peace.